Are we the only ones left who are still optimistic about the future price of gold, silver, and the precious metal mining stocks? It's been a rough 2 years. We know that. But is the stage being set right now? Are things moving into place that could create an environment where the price of gold, silver, and the precious metal mining stocks provide life-changing, spectacular, fantastic returns? We're going to look at that in this video because we know the last 2 years have been tough, but from the mud grows flowers, and we're going to talk about that right now. Before we get all optimistic, we got to get real. The last 2 years have been brutal, especially for the precious metal mining stocks, but for the metals also. What happened? What caused this horrible period that we've had to endure? Well, first and foremost, we had major inflation, which paradoxically should be good for the price of the precious metals. But when the big inflation came, expectations that our Federal Reserve would have to fight inflation and raise interest rates, become hawkish, took over in the market. So the prices of the metals went down. And the Fed is still pretending that they're going to be more and more hawkish in the future. So the price of the metals has suffered. Now, on the miners' side of things, they've been hit with a double whammy, right? The price of what they sell, gold, silver, platinum, etc., that has been coming down, while at the same time there has been this very persistent, very high inflation, higher cost. So they're bringing less money in and putting more money out because it's costing them more to mine. Their profits have been squeezed or in some cases eliminated, and their stock prices have been decimated. Enough of that. Let's move on to why right now things may be getting better. The pendulum may be shifting. We might just have brighter days ahead for us in the world of gold, silver, and the precious metal mining stocks. Your portfolio of mining stocks may have been butchered over the last 2 years, but I promise you, when you come to Ron's Basement, when you join me here, you won't get butchered. What you will get is some camaraderie, some friendship, and a warm welcome. I appreciate you deciding to spend some of your precious time with me here in the basement. You are always welcome. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel, give the video a thumbs up, turn on the bell notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below, and you can share this video with anyone you like. I trust you. Have you ever thought about the fact that you can't be happy without also being sad sometimes as well? That's exactly what's going on right now in the precious metal sector, in particular with the mining stocks. They are very sad. They have the worst sentiment, is the technical word to use, that we've seen in decades. Why is that a positive? Well, because it can only get so low, and it's going to be very, very difficult for sentiment in the precious metal sector in general to get any lower than it is. These things go in cycles, right? This is not permanent. It may feel permanent. I understand when you're sad, it feels like you're going to be sad forever, right? And when sentiment is crappy, below crappy, I used to say the sentiment was on the floor of my basement. Now it's like in the poop pipe that goes underneath the basement. It eventually comes back. It eventually goes up. From the mud grows flowers. So while the sentiment is horrible right now, in some ways that's better than having sentiment be through the roof, because when it gets through the roof, that's typically time that you want to get out of mining stocks, or any stocks for that matter. And in order for mining stocks to go down, there has to be sellers. I would put forth the argument that most, if not darn near almost all of the people who were going to sell because they got spooked out of the sector by this horrible sentiment, you would think that they've all sold already. So there's not a lot of potential sellers. There's a lot, I think, of strong hands that are left, people like you and I, but I would say that most of the sellers have already sold. And that leads me to my next point. Because of all these sellers, because of the massive drawdowns in market caps in the mining stocks in particular, what was already a very small sector, a very small percentage of total investable capital throughout the world. I think the entirety of it all, the metals and the mining stocks, is less than 0.5% of all investable capital throughout the world. It's gotten so small that when even a tiny fraction of the general markets moves back into this sector, it can have major, I mean fantastic, returns impact, because it doesn't take a lot for a tiny little number to double or triple in size. And what's it going to take to entice people to join us in the precious metal sector? How about this? It's been telegraphed from our leaders that at this point, it's a pretty much given that we're headed towards some economic pain. Heck, Jerome Powell himself even said it over the weekend at Jackson Hole. We have tough times headed our way. They aren't going to flip back to easy money policy anytime soon. When they do, that'll be even better for the price of precious metals. But they're telegraphing that they are going to do everything they can. They're going to sacrifice the economy in this big fight on inflation. Well, what's that going to do? That's going to make a lot of the traditional investment options, stocks, bonds, real estate, right? All of those are going to look like crappy alternatives for your money in the coming year. What's going to look good? Well, maybe silver, maybe gold. Because while they try to fight this inflation and they're killing the economy, if they aren't able to get inflation down significantly, which a lot of people think they won't be able to, we're still going to have inflation, right? Nowhere else to go with your money. Inflation is still raging. What looks attractive? You tell me. I know that traditionally, and common sense would tell me anyway, that gold and silver look attractive. And when the price of gold and silver become one of the only games in town, and there's such a tiny fragment of the investable options that are out there, I'm going to repeat, it doesn't take a lot for a tiny little number to double, triple, quadruple, go up 10 times in size. In some weird way, it almost seems like all the negatives working against the precious metal sector, and there are plenty of them right now, are actually the biggest positive that we have going for us. You know that saying that people out there often repeat, it's often darkest before dawn. Well, we know it's plenty dark right now in the precious metal sector. However, things could change quickly. Things are moving into place that could provide a platform for some spectacular gains in the coming months, quarters, and years. Now, don't make any financial decisions, any kind of decisions, based upon what I shared with you today. Just my opinion, but I remain an optimist in this sector. It's paid to be an optimist in the precious metal sector for the last 5,000 years. So I'll continue for another year. I'll always be here for you in the basement. I hope you decide to come back. Until next time, you, yes, you, the one and only, you be well. Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Basement, live on the log flume with Lily. Lily, say hi. We are shooting the log flume here at Six Flags St. Louis on Sunday. Hope everybody's doing great.